All right, welcome back to another video from me, FPL Crusader. Today, we are doing the Game Week 26 preview. Why is that important? Because we've just finished Game Week 25, a double. Now we've got 3 game weeks, 26, 27, 28, all within the space of a week of each other. So in London or England, UK, the time will be, the deadline will be on a Friday. Then we've got another one on the Wednesday and then another one the following weekend. So 27 is a midweek. Perfect time to roll transfers if your team is looking really good. Now, why I say that is because we've got blank 29, not long after that, 33, 34, blank and double. So you might need as many transfers up your sleeve as possible, depending on whatever chip strategy you're using. That could help as well. But realistically, the more transfers up your sleeve, the better. Let's have a crack on and look at the injury list first off for Game Week 26. Ahmad, done. 16%. He's done his knee. I have a sneaking suspicion he's out for the season. I know there's a lot of media saying he's out for the season, but when it's a Manchester United player, you can't really guarantee what all the media says because there's so much bloody stuff on every social media post and on all the news outlets. You just don't know. He is third bench for me at the moment. Well, he's actually first bench, but he's not playing, is he? So I would recommend using a transfer if you have the luxury of having a transfer. I've just told you not to. I just told you to bank your transfers. But if you really need to get someone in, he's perfect to transfer out for a Bournemouth midfielder if you don't already have one. Gakpo, 21% owned. It's a knock, whatever the hell that means. He's got City this game week. I assume they'll need him to start. Don't forget, Liverpool, even though it hasn't been over 2 weeks, they've still played 4 Premier League games in the space where everyone else has played 2, including their midweek games as well, whether it's be Europe or Cup games. So they definitely have some toll on their body. So you want Gakpo to play, I think. But I can understand if you had him for the doubles, it's time to get rid of him. If you did get rid of him, like this man Jackson, who's 9% owned, and he's out till game week 30. Game week 30, that is. So April 2nd of April, game week 30. That should say sell, not L. I think it was just a big typo for my fat fingers. But you can sell either Gakpo, you can sell Jackson for the likes of Cunha, Mateta, Mamouche could be one. If you want to go safe, go Chris Wood. He'll get you a goal every second game and look pretty smug doing it. There's a whole bunch of injuries floating around as well, but the main two are for Arsenal. So Saka should be back for game week 28. We expect, it's not confirmed, Havertz is out for the season. Now, what Havertz out for the season really means, especially with Saka gone, is that there is a myriad of different players you can go for in terms of Arsenal attack. They have West Ham at home this week. You'd almost be better triple defense because they're almost guaranteed. I shouldn't say guaranteed, that's bad. But they've got extremely high odds in terms of clean sheets. They're probably the best for this particular week. Aston Villa at home to Chelsea. We don't know if Chelsea can work without Jackson and Palmer. Maybe Nkunku's going to step in and show us that the type of player he was always supposed to be. I'm not entirely sure. He comes very highly rated. He's a Golden Boot winner in the Bundesliga. He just hasn't been given the opportunity. And maybe he doesn't have the size profile to take on the defenders, but we just don't know yet. Bournemouth have Wolves. Expect Cunha to score. Expect Bournemouth to win. Brentford, Leicester, that's a good one. Brighton, Southampton. Now, the South Coast derbies always go rogue. It's a 50-50. It's a coin flip. Neither side is confident. Southampton have the wood over Brighton in recent seasons. Chelsea travel to Villa. Crystal Palace and Fulham. So my mighty Fulham. I'm playing 2 Crystal Palace against my home team. This is why FPL plays with your head a bit. I really want Fulham to win 6-0 for no other reason than I just want to see us scoring goals. That being said, I think Mateta could win. I think Munoz is always a danger, so I'm playing him as well. Other big games will be Liverpool City. Obviously, that's the biggest game. It's the 2 best teams over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's the new big rivalry in the Premier League. Expect Liverpool to win. Expect City to score some goals. Maybe it will be a draw. I'm not entirely sure. Manchester United travel to Everton. Expect Everton to win. No offense to new United fans. Your team's pants. Newcastle and Forest. Now, this is interesting. Both teams have lost their last 2 or 2 of their last 3 in some respects. One of them needs to play themselves into form. Will it be Forest away will it be Newcastle at home? You'd bank on Newcastle at home, but it's just not guaranteed. Spurs travel to Ipswich. That should be a banker for them, but we don't really know what Spurs are up to, and we don't know which Spurs assets are going to score. It's a minefield. Let's have a look at the shots on target. So I have filtered this by goals. As you can see, Salah is way ahead on goals now. He's got a 4-goal lead in the Premier League this season. 23 goals from 48, so he's pretty much 1 and 2 in terms of goals in the back of the net. Haaland's 1 and 3, 19 from 53. That's not good enough. He needs to get better there. He's got a lot of shots and a lot on target. He's not getting returns. Wood is basically 1 and 2 like Salah, 18 from 27. Sorry, 60%. That's 2/3 almost, Chris Wood. So he's not getting anywhere near as many opportunities, especially on target, but he's taking them. Isak, similar to Wood. I would have thought Isak's shots would have been more than that. He feels like he's more active in the box, which maybe makes me think that he's better as a 10 rather than an out-and-out striker. Palmer, yeah, recent form skews this a bit. You still want him there, don't you? Cunha with 12 goals off from 29. That's not too bad for what is essentially a midfielder. I know he's playing striker for Wolves, but if he played for the likes for any of the top 6, he'd be a wide forward. Watkins is there, and Mateta's down the bottom as well. So you got Watkins, Kluivert, and Mateta that you can't see because of my fat head. All scored 11 goals. Mateta 11 from 21. That's just impressive. And Kluivert 11 from 25. Not too bad. Watkins is having the type of season we expected him to have, and we'll expect him to keep having for pretty much the rest of his FPL career. So let's have a look at the form over the last 6 weeks. Obviously, Salah's played an extra 2 games than everyone else, but his form is just so good. And he's scoring goals, right? He's scoring a goal a game, and he's getting an assist 2 out of every 3. So, of course, his form's going to be up there. Chris Wood's hat-trick puts him right up there. I'm surprised to see Foden there, to be honest. I know he had a good run, but I wouldn't say he was amazing. Kluivert's back up. Mateta's the one that's really gone right up this table, looking really smart there. David Moyes, winding back the clock, Mr. Moyes. Well done. I'll get you in the Fulham team under Marco Silva. He'll get the best out of you, I guarantee. Haaland, yeah, he's always going to have good form because he doesn't do anything else but shoot. So there's not much to detract his form ratings the way it's calculated, as far as I know. Isaac's in okay form. Dango and Gibbs White. Gibbs White is actually sliding right down this because he was right up there when Forest were going well. I expect to see him out over the next couple of weeks. Also, Gordon had been on here for the last few weeks, and he's been usurped as well by Mr. Dango. XGI over the last 6. Once again, thank you to both of these slides and a few more as well from Fantasy Football Pundit, a really good site. Follow them on X. I'm not affiliated with them. I just love their stats, so I'm going to keep using them. The XGI over the last 6, Salah, Haaland, Palmer, Isak, and Mbeumo, Watkins. I mean, if you said at the start of the season these players are going to be the top XGI and they're going to be in your team, you'd be pretty happy and you'd think that's pretty template. The only one I would expect else to be here is probably Saka, and maybe Sonny if he was back in his prime, but realistically it's Saka. But that obviously injuries can't help there. I would have thought De Bruyne at the start of the season for me, but we've seen that maybe he doesn't have it anymore. He's definitely got the skills. Maybe his legs aren't there. But I'm just a couch potato, so what would I know? Good to see Wissa and Mateta there as well. So 2 mid-price forwards who are now increasing in price. So if you want to get onto them, now would be the time. But they're starting to ramp up this XGI. Bruno's there as well. He just needs support. He's got XG is more than XA because no one else is there to score. If he had an out-and-out striker in front of him, then his XA will be through the roof. He'd probably be number 1, and he'd be scoring 100 points every few. He'd be scoring like double-digit hauls every few game weeks, I think, but he just needs that support. That being said, if Manchester United do a complete redo under Amorim, I wouldn't be ultimately shocked to see Fernandes be sold to use the money elsewhere. Nothing against Bruno, but if they want the likes of Florian Wirtz has been touted, they're a similar position. Wirtz could easily have this team flying as much as Bruno could, but you can't have them both on the pitch at the same time. Just food for thought there. So this is a slide. This is a slide that I've been using for the last couple of weeks. I'm not really sure if it's going to help us, but I'll keep doing it for the next few just to see. So the referee cards. So this is the most amount of referee cards given per match. Anthony Taylor is in control of the Man City Liverpool. 3.97 cards per match. So he leads the league. So give him the MVP, I guess. Who's going to take the corner kicks? Who's going to take the free kicks? So if you've still got Trent, maybe you still want to play him, I guess. I don't know who takes them for City because you don't know who's going to be on the pitch at the same time. Mo Salah also has a crack at them. Obviously, that'll be most people's captaincy choice this week, so that makes sense. Craig Pawson is not far behind. Arsenal, West Ham. Declan Rice can take free kicks. Odegaard's done it in the past. I'm not sure who's going to take penalties, but maybe it's Merino now. That being said, I wouldn't pile into Merino all the way. He came off the bench to score those 2 goals. He didn't start as a striker. So people are saying now he's like a 5 million striker playing in midfield. I don't entirely believe that. Michael Oliver, 3.5. So a decent dip to Anthony Taylor, 3.5. But Aston Villa and Chelsea. So the likes of Rodgers, Watkins, and Tielemans will be your go-to players there. And then also Palmer. He'll dominate everything else. But they're the only 3 that have Premier League games this week. Let's have a look at my grey list. So I call this the grey list because there's 2 locks, one that's a risk and one that's an avoid. My avoid is Ola Aina. He's number 2 in the points for FPL, but expect him to start sliding down there because Forest fixtures are getting worse. He does play in 29, but their fixtures are getting worse, and also their dominant defense has had a few chinks in it as of late. Gabriel from Arsenal, he's the risk because they've got West Ham this week, which is a brilliant clean sheet opportunity. But then they've got Forest, United, Chelsea, Fulham, Everton. So a bit tougher for them, and a lot of them are away. Actually, 3 of those are away. Kirkes for Bournemouth. That could be Huesson. That could be anyone else in the Bournemouth backline. Wolves. Then they got Brighton, Tottenham. So you'd expect them to win those. And then Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham. A really good run up until their double in 33 of Crystal Palace and Manchester United. Both of which you'd expect them to win, realistically. And then Wolves. Now, when do you jump on Wolves? It's coming soon. So they got Bournemouth this week. You wouldn't expect them to win that. Then they got Fulham at home. And then it pretty much turns until the end of the season. Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Ipswich. Then they got Tottenham at home. They'll smash Tottenham, no offense. I love Big Ange, but they'll smash Tottenham. Then they got Manchester in the game week 33. And then in the blank week 34, they host Leicester. So expect Cunha to be a captaincy option. Midfield, it's the obvious ones. It's Mbeumo, it's Kluivert. The avoid for me is Rodgers this week, and the risk is Mr. Nkunku. If he can form an alliance in a really good partnership with Cole Palmer up front over these next 6 or 7 game weeks, expect him to rear his, I'm not going to say ugly head, but rear his beautiful head back into the FPL landscape. I am thoroughly looking at him for game week 27, that midweek game week. I've got an Ahmad size hole, and I think Nkunku could chuck it in nicely. Let's have a look at the stats first. So goals, and Mbeumo's there, 14, Kluivert's on 11. So that's why they're locks. I've spoken about the fixtures previously. They pretty much go right forward. And Mbeumo can even carry him through. It doesn't matter if he blanks or who he plays against. He's on penalty, so he can do what he wants. Rodgers against Chelsea, it might be difficult, especially if Chelsea score. And then after that, he's got Crystal and Palace and Brentford both away, and Villa do not travel very well at all. Then we've got the blank. We're seeing Mbeumo's 3rd there on terms of points. He's 20 points behind Palmer, who's now almost 100 points behind Salah. And Palmer is actually the number 2 FPL point scorer this season. And Salah being 100 points ahead of him is just phenomenal. It's crazy. What a season. We're never going to see anything like this again. We thought that when his 300 season. He's got, 14 games to beat to get 30 points? That's just showing up. He's guaranteed to beat it. You heard it here first. Midfielders, Mbeumo and Kluivert, and maybe Nkunku. Forwards, we're looking at Cunha, Wissa, maybe Marmoush, and then getting rid of Watkins, who's at home to Chelsea. Now, Marmoush has 3 goals. I haven't just brought him in because of his hat-trick. I brought him in because of the style of play that got his hat-trick. He's very exciting forward. He was playing very fast on the pitch. Some really good go forward that City needed. Sometimes their wide forwards play as if they're a wide forward on YouTube. There's not a lot of, how do I put this? They look good, but they don't produce anything good. Whereas Marmoush is a little bit different. He seems to work well with the team already. Now, it's only been 1 game. Well, it's been 3 games, really, but it's only been 1 game that we've seen him as a highlight. But this will be a true test of him. See if he's in their top team against Liverpool, to see if he plays well against top teams, and see how he goes against the likes of Liverpool's defense as well. If he's out on the left, he'll be against Trent, so I think he'll flourish. If he's out on the right, Robertson might bite him, but he's playing through the centre on a double striker attack. It'd be interesting to see how he goes against Liverpool's best defense in the league. Cunha is same with that Nori. Do you get onto him now, or do you wait for a couple of game weeks? I really think if he scores against Liverpool, he can score against anyone. Wissa, their fixtures are good now, so just go for it. And as I said to you earlier, you can go Watkins if you want, but it's still a risk for me. Most wanted for this game week is Marmoush, the hat-trick hero. He's cheaper than Haaland. 375,000 people have already brought him in, and I can understand why. It is a little bit recency biased, but City's attack is still City's attack. And if he's getting the minutes, he's going to get the points. Kluivert, that'll be up over 250, maybe even over 300 by the game week deadline. He's low value. He's a definite Rodgers or Ahmad replacement, and they've got a fantastic run until game week 23. And Mitoma, he is an attacking threat. The Brighton midfielders are so inconsistent, it's hard to tell. He did get a goal last game week. They've got Southampton next. As I said to you earlier, the South Coast derbies are always very, very hard to predict who's going to win. Captaincy. So the captaincy for game week 26 is the first game week in a few where it's been relatively open. It's been Salah permacap for the last few game weeks because they've got doubles, and before that they had a plum fixture. And he returned. Everyone who triple captained him for those game weeks had massive green arrows. He also loves playing against City, and he plays against them very well, almost too well. If you're a City supporter, I'm not, but he definitely steps up against them. Is he the permacap? I can easily see people just captaining him for the rest of the season, like we did Haaland a couple of years ago. And no matter what happens, you still do have a pretty good season. Mbeumo is away to Leicester, game week 26. Pens and corners away to Leicester, who are an aggressive defense. They will get penalised. Is he about to go on a run? I have a sneaky suspicion he's about to go on a run, and then we can get rid of him at 29 if you need. Excuse me. And Isak. Nottingham Forest at home. St. James Park is a fortress. Their bounce back is about to come, and they need to work their way up that table. Yeah, I just think Isak's time is... he's scoring every second game, and he failed last week, so he's going to score this week. That's just how it looks. James McAtee is at the top of the goals per 90 minutes, 1.88. So he's getting 2 goals per 90. He's coming on late and scoring goals, so good on him. Marmoush, obviously, with that hat trick, is 1.22. John Duran will probably end the season as number 1, assuming no young fellas come in and score a goal within 1 minute. Salah, 0.93 for someone who plays all the games is amazing. Alcaraz is up there as well. Isak would... If you said to me Chris Wood will have 0.8 goals per 90 minutes, and that only be ranked 7th after halfway through the season, I would have said you're crazy. But this is a completely different season this year, and it's being absolutely nuts. But it's really good to watch. So I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I have. But my captaincy choices this week, Salah, Mbeumo, and Alexander Isak. My differentials for this week, Jean-Philippe Mateta, away to Fulham, my mighty Fulham. He is the number 1 XG forward in the last 6. He scored a return in the last 5 game weeks, so why wouldn't he go for him? Carlos Alcaraz at home to Manchester United. United are difficult to watch, even for a neutral. Their defense and their midfield are so hit and miss. They could play really well, or they can play horribly. He got a goal and an assist last game week, and against their defense, I don't think they'll be able to contain him. And Nkunku away to Villa. He's their striker for the next 7 game weeks. Once he gets settled in a team, he does really well. He's got a goal per game in the Conference League. That's because he's settled in the Chelsea Conference League team. Now, he's sitting there in Chelsea, who's got 47 goals for the season. They're running 5th. Bournemouth have got 44, but Liverpool way out in front on 60. City and Arsenal just behind, or about 10 behind, and then Tottenham just behind them. So Liverpool are scoring well above everyone else. They have played one more game than everyone else, but you're still not going to score 8 goals in that particular game. So my differentials, just to recap, is Jean-Philippe Mateta away to Fulham, Alcaraz at home to Manchester United, and Nkunku away to Aston Villa. I've been doing this for the last couple of game weeks, and it's been kind of fun, so why not? FPL Challenge this week is I've gone Arsenal, all in on Arsenal. So what the challenge has been for the last couple of weeks is you get the free assistant manager chip. I think it's just to promote it, and it kind of makes sense. You don't have to put too much thought into this. If you're putting more thought into this than you are to the FPL, then what's the point of playing either, I think. But I just do it just for kicks, I guess. 3 Arsenal, so I got Raya, Gabriel, and Ethan Nwaneri. Got Marmouche. My bonus and my assistant manager, who I'm going with the bonus for, is Ivan Juric. I think Southampton will turn Brighton over, to be honest. I know Brighton have played pretty well in the last couple of game weeks, but I think Southampton can get what they need out of them. Kluivert is the captain for this week. We line up as Raya and goal, Hall at home to Forest, Gabriel, Mikalenko at home to United, and Mbeumo, Nwaneri, Kluivert. I have to have Salah. I can't be stupid about it. Worcester, so I've got the double Brentford attack, and then obviously Marmouche. So you don't have to pick a bench, but that just means if one of your players doesn't play, you get 0 points. Last week I had Gakpo on my team just for the double. Then he didn't play, so I got 0. So I think my rank in this is like 70 grand, which isn't that flash considering the amount of people play it, but it's just a bit of fun. And also for those who haven't played their assistant manager chip yet, this is a good view to see how it's played and what points you get. So interesting to see if other people are playing it and if they're learning anything from it. It's more of a development tool rather than a side-by-side game or a competing game, as we'll call it. Here's my team for game week 26. As you can see, my live rank courtesy of FPL team is 1.334 million. I was down 8 grand, 8,000, which is basically just a grey area, realistically. I'm on slot for assistant manager. I'm not moving him on. I'm not going to use a 4-point transfer just to get rid of him. Then who am I going with? I don't know. I don't need that stress. I've taken McAllister out and I've brought Brian Mbeumo in. Then I've also captained Brian Mbeumo. I do have an interesting bench that I need to deal with soon. So I've got Ahmad who needs to go, and he could potentially be Christopher Nkunku. If he plays well this week against Villa, I'll bring him in for Southampton and Leicester double. I'm happy to use my transfer on him. I've been gagging for him to be a good FPL asset for the last God knows how long. So hopefully he pulls up his socks and does me a solid. We'll see how it goes there. But Ahmad needs to go. It's a season-ending injury. So from what I've seen, Fabianski. Now, I put Flappy in because he was cheap and he was playing. And I basically brought him in for the doubles when I did my wild card in game week 21. That being said, if he doesn't play, I'm going to have to use a transfer on my backup keeper just so I can have 2 points for my bench boost. Doesn't really make sense, does it? It just sounds stupid. I'm going to hold on to him until my bench boost, which is roughly game week 33. So I've got, 8 game weeks to go. Hopefully he'll be back in the team by then. I think if the fellas over there at Planet FPL also said that Flappy could be number 1 by then. You never know if their fortunes change or even if Areola picks up a slight niggle like he tends to. That could be the case. But my team, as it goes, is slot away to City. If he gives me another 10 points, I'll be happy. Pickford at home to Manchester United. I really need a clean there. Fulham away to Munoz. Fulham, I believe, will win, but I think Munoz and Mateta can get some attacking returns. Vandenberg is flagged away to Leicester, which is a game he doesn't need to play if they don't have to. Also, Collins and Pinnock are coming back as well. One of them too. Can't remember which one. I just assume they're the same person. But one of them is coming back from injury, and they replaced him. So that might have been another transfer I didn't need to make. Hoyson at home to Wolves. He should be fine. Same with his teammate Kluivert. I expect goals from him. He was a captaincy consideration for me. Palmer's away to Villa. Pull your socks up, lad. Mbeumo away to Leicester. He is my captain. I expect a penalty plus maybe 1 or 2 more returns. Salah away to City. He'll probably get a goal, I think. But I think City will score, so that'll diminish his overall points. Mateta away to Fulham. I'm expecting similar, a goal, but I think they'll lose. Wood and Isak play each other up in Newcastle. I reckon they'll both score. I'm not really sure who's going to win, but the fact is they're both attackers. So even if their opposite team scores 6 goals, it doesn't diminish their points. So I don't really care. I think they'll both score, so they're both playing. On my bench is Murillo away to Newcastle or Mazraoui away to Everton. Tossing up, who do I want to be my first bench pick out of those two? I mean, it's bleak. They're basically there just for the doubles, for the blanks and doubles. So I think Murillo will stay there. If Vandenberg doesn't play, I'll take the 1 point from Murillo and just soldier on. But I think this team's looking much better. Considering in game week 21, we were ranked 3.1 or 2 million. So we've driven that right down 1.8 million in 5 game weeks. No, 4. There we go. 4 game weeks. That's done pretty well. So that being said, I do want to finish inside the top 100K. That might be a pipe dream at this stage, but we'll see how we go. That's how I'm lining up for Game Week 26. I hope everyone is excited about their Game Week 26. It's coming up around the corner. Good luck. I hope all your arrows are green and your differential score hat tricks. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share on socials. It really does help me. And if you've got any questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy. I've already have a few people in my DMs asking me questions each week about their teams, and I'd like to think I'm helping them. I'm nowhere near being an expert, but they're at least saying thank you and it worked and blah, blah, blah. Not all the time, but now and then it does. So if you got any questions, feel free to reach out. As I said, like and subscribe. I hope you have a really good game week, and I hope you're enjoying the footy. It's been a pretty impressive season. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Luke, FPL Crusader. Have a good week.